Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Susanna Carey. I am the BI service owner for NCDIT. We support a couple of BI applications, but one of them is Tableau. Most of you know that Tableau is a very powerful dashboarding and reporting tool. So I didn't want to show you the basics. I wanted to show you the features that come with Tableau that you don't know about that enhance the tool itself. So I have invited our Tableau team here today to go through those features with you. And once we're done, we'll give you next steps. We also have another session coming up, which is a little more in detail, and we'll provide that information at the end. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to Catherine Skinner, who is our customer success manager, and she's going to take you through the features of Tableau.
Great. Thanks, Susanna. And Craig, if you want to go to the next slide, thanks so much. I really appreciate everybody having us on today and listening in. We have about 10 to 15 minutes, so just want to get right into it and do just a quick intro of the Tableau team, some names that you may or may not know. Henry is here to help with any and all of your licensing needs. You may have seen him hanging around way back in the day when we all actually went into the office. Craig is our technical guru. He knows everything there is to know about the Tableau product. He's in the driver's seat today, so when you hear me say next slide, if he doesn't go to the next slide, you can blame Craig. And then I'm Catherine. I'm your customer success manager, and I help support you and the team with best practices around using your Tableau licenses and making sure you're using it successfully based on your needs. And then also, today, what Susanna mentioned, I think is really important, is we're going to talk about some of the features that are actually included in the offering that you may or may not know about, may have not used yet. So Craig, if you want to go ahead to the next slide. So like I said, we know that many of you are familiar with Tableau, at least understanding that it's a awesome dashboarding tool and platform that you can use to visualize data. But instead of doing sort of our standard demo of Tableau, we wanted to talk about 6 features. We're going to go through them pretty quickly that you should know about. Maybe you haven't heard about them, haven't used them yet. So all of these features are currently available for Tableau users in North Carolina. You just need to get in touch with DIT to confirm exactly what you do have access to and how to get started. And then additionally, Craig, Henry, and I are here to help you with the use of those features. So DIT may also loop us in to help you with getting started. So we'll kick off with the next slide. For each of these 6 features and functions, what I'm going to first focus on is the problem that it helps solve. So sometimes what WebEx will let you do is give a little thumbs up. I think with the format we're using today, I'm just going to have you privately give a little thumbs up to yourself if you've experienced the problem, if this is something you can relate to. If you do give a little thumbs up, that's an indicator that this is something you should probably reach out to DIT about with that exact feature or function. So I'm going to start out with some very common problems that we see, which essentially prepping your data is really hard. Cleaning your data is hard. Getting the right data to the right people is really difficult. If you have a lot of data sources or even just a few, merging of multiple data sources is difficult. And even if you do have tools to do this, they're typically really expensive. So again, little personal thumbs up if you have experienced any of this. So we'll talk about the solution, Craig. That's on the next slide. And so this is called Tableau Prep. You may have seen this. It's included in if you have a creator license. So if you have a desktop with a creator, you have access to Prep. You may or may not be using it, but you can actually add it and use that functionality at no additional cost. So just like how Tableau Desktop makes analyzing data really intuitive and visual for really all types of users, even if you don't think of yourself as really technical, Prep does this for data preparation. So it's included with your creator license, so it overcomes that issue of having a really expensive solution, and it also sort of allows for data prep to go out more to the masses. So for people who really understand the data best, we can get data prep into their hands who know the data, but again, maybe don't think of themselves as technical. So that's Tableau Prep. We'll go to the next problem now. Again, private little thumbs up to yourself if you have it. So next slide. So some problems here. So how do we securely share data and our analysis internally so that we can actually make data-driven decisions versus decisions based on intuition, which happens a lot? And how can we do that in a way that's secure, that we can feel confident and we're not, emailing our data around. We can keep it governed, and we know that the right people are getting access to the right things. It's sort of creating this single source of truth is a kind of a hot term that we hear a lot, and really kind of getting that data in real time, and we know that people can rely on it and it's the correct version of the data. So the solution is on our next slide. And it's Tableau Server, and we call this the internal Tableau Server. So for your agency, you'd be using internal Tableau Server, which is the sharing platform for your visualizations and your data sources. So instead of emailing them around, putting them in a shared server, you can share them in a single, secure, governed interface. You can actually even embed your visualizations in internal applications and use single sign-on. So you can really get people access to this data really quickly, in an intuitive way, so users can even subscribe to views that they use the most, and the data is all updated automatically, so you don't have to go in and update it. It's going to actually go back and hit the data source. Maybe you actually prepped the data source with Tableau Prep. It will hit that and update it as often as you need it, even if that's every 15 minutes or so. So if you're not using Server, do reach out to DIT, and that's something that I can help with, Craig can help with, Henry can help with, to make sure, and along with DIT, that you get set up correctly for that. This is a really powerful, really valuable part of the solution that if you aren't using, please let us know, because we want to tell you more about it. So that brings us to the next problem. So this is about sharing data more with external groups. So a lot of times this may be the residents of the state, people who go to your website. So maybe you get a ton of calls and emails about an issue. COVID is a big one. How many people are vaccinated, this type of information, but also things that are going on with reopening schools, even roads, that sort of, road repair has been affected. I think we've all sort of seen different things either speed up or slow down. Real ID requirements, all of these things are things that you may want to tell your residents about. So how can we better share crucial information with the public so that they can access it quickly and easily, but also so that it's automated, so you don't have to go in and upload something new every quarter, even every year. A lot of times we'll see really huge spreadsheets or PDFs as an option, but there are ways that we can actually get this information in a bit more of an intuitive way. And so next slide, we'll talk a little bit about that. So the solution for this is also Tableau Server, but it's in a different way. You can actually embed visualizations from Tableau Server into your public site. So just like you can use Tableau Server internally with your group, this actually pushes it externally and allows you to use different functionality so that it gets the data to the right people outside of your organization. So this allows you to share information with your citizens. The example that you can see here is actually from great work that DHHS did during COVID, and they literally won awards for this content. So with this, you can really share crucial information, or in the case of DHHS, potentially life-saving information with your citizens, and also have this update automatically. And so instead of having all of those update PDFs that you have to update or annual reports, we can go back and hit the data in your database and update that on the site automatically. So we can automate those data refreshes. You don't have to do it manually every single time. So next slide. This is a big one. So even if you are sharing data with users in your agency, there might be a disconnect between leaders who, a lot of times we'll hear trends that we're expecting a data-driven organization, or we really want to use data. But it can be hard for employees to really kind of connect the data that they need and then leverage that correctly to drive action and make the decisions that are based on data. And a lot of us, I'm in customer success. I'm not the most technical person in the world. You can probably all relate here. I'm not an analyst. How do I actually get the information I need for my role from the massive amount of data that we have? And the answer to that is on our next slide, which is called Ask Data. So this is something that is included for your users in Tableau Server. Do talk to us. There may be some limitations here that that we can address, but basically in the next couple months, every user on server can have access to this. It's a really great way for users to get acquainted with their data, because they can use natural language to ask questions in a way that you would just ask your coworker, but your coworker in this case is your data. So you can type in a question, you can see a guided search to give you some suggestions on what data can help you answer your question. And then you can see those results in a Tableau visualization. So really any user can get the insights that they need. And so we're making a lot of investments in this type of AI, not as any kind of, replacement for people, but for people who know their role really well to be able to better utilize data and apply it more quickly and make better decisions and be proactive with their data. And we'll also talk about this a little bit in the next slide. So this is somewhat similar to this. Dashboards are great at giving us a picture of maybe what happened in the past. I think a lot of times we are looking back at, maybe different finance HR reports from previous months, or maybe even what's currently happening. It's not always obvious to show us why something happened, or even we may not be using this data to make predictions or take action to get kind of a deeper level of insight and then make the right decision for moving forward. So our agency employees are the ones who are going to be taking action and make recommendations. So how can we make sure that you all are better equipped to understand the data so that you feel really informed moving forward and that you know sort of why things happened? So we'll talk about that in the next slide. So this is a solution called Explain Data. This is also included with Tableau Server. And what this does is it allows your users to not just see this lovely visualization here, but actually click into a data point to get an AI-driven explanation that's based on statistical models for that value. So essentially, not just, hey, this value is red and something bad happened, but you can click into it and see here's some outliers. If we can change this or address these 3 little issues, maybe we can turn this red dot into a blue dot. So these are integrated into your workflows, so all users can get new understandings about this data, and it can also give you a jumping off point so that you can say, hey, we found these 3 little points that are actually pulling this number down. If we can address this problem and create a solution here, that's going to really help us moving forward and make a data-driven decision. So we'll go to the next slide, which is actually the last of our quick solutions that we're going over today. So this goes over a couple things that have to do with data. So Tableau Prep is great, but when you're using Tableau Prep, it isn't just built in that you can actually automate these flows. So yay, I'm using Tableau Prep, but how can I actually automate this process? Data and content governance is really crucial, but it can also require a lot of review. So how do we audit who can see what? Governance can get really, really complicated. And that includes things like letting people know that a data source has changed or might be stale, and maybe automating that process so someone doesn't have to go in and find all the stale content and let people know or make changes. But it's really about finding that balance between giving people access to data, but making sure it's secured. And when you have a lot of data, it's not always easy to find what all of our data sources are. How do we know if we can trust our data? So what is the solution to that? It's in the next slide. This is called our data management add-on. And this is an add-on that the state of North Carolina owns through DIT. So if you're using Tableau Prep or Tableau Server, I definitely recommend looking into data management and seeing how you can use it for governance, and also really importantly for automating what you're doing in prep. So first, it includes Prep Conductor, which schedules the prep flows for more up-to-date data. And then Tableau Catalog is an extremely powerful way to get a complete view of all the data in your Tableau environment. So you can do like data curation, but also discovery. Lineage is a really helpful feature, finding who actually owns this data, what's the history behind it, how people used it. So like I said, if you are using Tableau Server or Tableau Prep, please let us know, because you do have access to this add-on that can be really, really powerful. So like I said, data management's the last feature that we're discussing today. I know this was a very quick review, but again, if you did give yourself a little personal thumbs up for any of these, Susanna is now going to take over and wrap up with the next slide on next steps and then what to do if you're interested in learning more.
Thank you, Catherine. So if you're interested and want to learn more about Tableau, we put a link up here, and hopefully we can send this presentation out. That's to our ServiceNow instance so that you can contact the DIT BI team and they can reach out to you. We also have an executive briefing session on August 26th at 10 a.m. And in the slide, there's a URL to register. If you do not if you can't get to the URL or anything like that, you can email me, and I'll put my email in the presentation as well. And I think that's it, right, Catherine? Oh, are you going to go through the starter kit, or am I, Catherine?
What I figured is if folks are interested, they can reach out. Maybe we can address them one-on-one with the starter kit. But essentially, we did want folks to know that there is a little getting started kit available from DIT that includes help with getting started. So please do reach out if you're interested in any of these. DIT is a great resource, and we're here to help as well.
Yeah, and we do a lot of training. So if you're nervous about that, we do one-on-one trainings with users to get started.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation on Tableau.